This year has had a ton of juicy stories surrounding the royals. From Meghan Markle and Prince Harry stepping down as senior royals to all the drama with Netflix's hit series, The Crown, Access Hollywood is breaking down the top royal stories of the year. First up, the biggest story of 2020 actually happened at the beginning of the year, when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry shocked the world, announcing their intentions to move to America and no longer be senior members of the royal family. Dubbed as Megxit by the media, the move drew criticism and praise from the public. Some were surprised by their bold choice, while others praised the decision, noting how Meghan faced harsh criticism from the British media. At the time the news broke, Access Hollywood spoke to royal expert Melanie Bromley, who broke down everything that was going on with the couple.
So when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle released their statement, they also happened to release a brand new website as well. And this is where it's so interesting, because this is obviously something that Harry and Meghan have really planned out. And on their new website, they've laid out a series of questions and answers. They've thought about the things that people will want to know. One of those questions is, are they going to keep their royal titles? And what Harry and Meghan point out on their website is that there are other members of the royal family who have normal jobs as well as having titles. And so we're looking at Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie. There are people who have had normal jobs, and that's what Harry and Meghan want. I think Prince Harry only really knew one way to be a royal until he met Meghan. And he's met this woman who is so incredibly accomplished and actually really, really, really smart, and who's turned around to him and said, you know what, there might be a way to do things differently. And together as a couple, as a family, they've brainstormed. And yes, when they look at their children, when they look at how George, Louis and Charlotte, William and Kate's children, are being brought up, it's understandable for them to say, you know what, we don't want that for our son, we want something different. Harry and Meghan have really shown that they are more forward-thinking in the way that they do things, whether it's down to their Instagram and following charities that they're supporting in a certain month, or being a little bit more open about what they're showing. They've shown that they understand the media in a different way. And for the royal family, who's never really had very many outsiders come into the family and say, guess what? I know the media too. Meghan Markle was a celebrity. She knew how the media worked independently, away from the royal family. So to come in and say, this is what you can do for social media. You want to help a charity? You don't have to just release a statement. We can do this. That's very, very smart. Harry has absolutely modernised his role on what being the spare heir can be. He did that before he met Meghan with the Invictus Games. He's been incredible with his purpose and his power. He's now met somebody who's equally as powerful and also shown him different ways. Together, they are a different kind of royalty, and they're now taking this unprecedented but should actually be unsurprising decision to say, Harry, I've been born into the royal family, but I don't want this, and I have a choice to step away if I want to. Nobody can blame him for that.
After some emergency meetings between the Queen and Prince Harry, the duo officially stepped down from their roles on March 31st, eventually moving to America. They now reside in California in a beautiful mansion with baby Archie. Despite hopping the pond, the duo wasn't over everything that went down with the British media. They launched lawsuits against select British tabloids for publishing a private letter that Meghan wrote to her father, Thomas Markle. However, in May 2020, Meghan lost her first ruling. The Duchess's legal team issued a statement at the time that reads, "Today's ruling makes very clear that the core elements of this case do not change and will continue to move forward. The Duchess's rights were violated, the legal boundaries around privacy were crossed. As part of this process, the extremes to which the Mail on Sunday used distortive, manipulative, and dishonest tactics to target the Duchess of Sussex have been put on full display." Associated Newspapers denies the allegations made against them. While Meghan and Harry are free to move on to new projects, people were surprised when the couple signed a major deal with Netflix. But don't get your hopes up that Meghan will be returning to her acting roots. Netflix co-CEO Reed Hastings previously spoke out and set the record straight, saying that they plan to focus on producing.
You know, the real focus for them is on being producers and on building that production capacity. So that's the key thing is, you know, they've developed a great eye for story, and we'll be working with them on that basis.
Meghan isn't one to shy away from issues that are important to her. She addressed her former high school's graduation in June and spoke out about racial injustice, following the protests which were sparked by the death of George Floyd at the hands of a police officer.
We've all seen over the last week what is happening in our country and in our state and in our hometown of LA has been absolutely devastating. And I wasn't sure what I could say to you. I wanted to say the right thing, and I was really nervous that I wouldn't, or that it would get picked apart. And I realized the only wrong thing to say is to say nothing. Because George Floyd's life mattered, and Breonna Taylor's life mattered, and Philando Castile's life mattered, and Tamir Rice's life mattered. And so did so many other people whose names we know and whose names we do not know. Stephon Clark, his life mattered.
The couple also broke royal protocol when they encouraged Americans to get out and vote in the 2020 election. Meghan also got very honest in an op-ed that she wrote for the New York Times, admitting that she suffered a pregnancy loss in July, and described what the experience was like for her. It was a July morning that began as ordinarily as any other. Make breakfast, feed the dogs, take vitamins, find that missing sock, pick up the rogue crayon that rolled under the table, throw my hair in a ponytail before getting my son from his crib. After changing his diaper, I felt a sharp cramp. I dropped to the floor with him in my arms, humming a lullaby to keep us both calm. The cheerful tune a stark contrast to my sense that something was not right. I knew as I clutched my firstborn child that I was losing my second. Hours later, I lay in a hospital bed, holding my husband's hand. I felt the clamminess of his palm and kissed his knuckles, wet from both our tears. Staring at the cold white walls, my eyes glazed over. I tried to imagine how we'd heal. We expect there to be many more surprises from Meghan and Harry next year as they continue finding their new roles in America. From real-life current royal events to old drama that never seems to end. Netflix's The Crown, which is loosely based on the history of the royal family, came back for a 5th season and left people even more intrigued by Princess Charles, Princess Diana, and Camilla Parker Bowles' love triangle, which made headlines back in the 90s. Access Hollywood chatted with royal expert Kinsey Schofield, who broke down the top takeaways from the hit show.
I do believe that Princess Diana and Prince Charles were in love. I don't think they were in love when they got married. I do think that it was kind of suggested that this was a good girl. We found the right one, and Charles respects his mother and father so much and went with the flow. I feel like the love developed, especially with the birth of Prince William, which you see on the show. And then there is a moment, actually the only moment, on season 4, on episode 6, Prince Charles breaks down and says, "I do love you." And Princess Diana jumps back and says, "Gosh, it's so sweet and it's so beautiful." And you just actually get a sense that these were two people that really did believe in this union, and they tried to make it work. And actually, there's a moment in episode 6 or 2 where you think that these two might actually work out, despite knowing all the other stuff, despite knowing reality. That's how good the storytelling and the chemistry is. You think that these two, Prince Charles and Princess Diana, are going to make it work. There is love, and they can live happily ever after. I don't know what the objective of the screenwriters were. I don't know what the objective of the show was. But you do not feel sympathy for Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles in this series whatsoever. I don't care how in love they are. There is this cringe scene where the two of them are at a party, totally working off each other, telling a story about a bear. There's a moment where Camilla befriends Diana, which is awkward, takes her to lunch, and basically hammers into Princess Diana, who's super young and naive and lonely, about how much she does not know her husband, bringing up all these little inside jokes and all of these elements that Diana just isn't familiar with yet. So it really does make Princess Diana so insecure. And if they're looking to make you root for Prince Charles and Camilla ever, that just does not happen, not even a single bit, which I think in the long run, in real life, is detrimental to Prince Charles and Camilla's brand, and the future of the monarchy in general, because you don't really want to see these two get their way, because it feels like they were so defiant, and in being so defiant, they really hurt some people that did not deserve it.
On to another royal scandal. Prince Andrew was back in the spotlight this year when his alleged ties to the late Jeffrey Epstein were revisited in an explosive new Netflix documentary. The 4-part series, Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich, explores the multiple long-standing sex crime accusations against Epstein, including claims that the Duke of York visited Epstein's private island and sexually abused a then underage girl. Prince Andrew has consistently denied Virginia Roberts' allegation that she was a teen sex slave for the late Epstein and trafficked to his famous friends, including the royal, and has said he has no recollection of meeting her despite the pair appearing to be in a photograph together. In June 2020, the royal issued a rare statement after the U.S. Department of Justice made a formal request for the royal's testimony in an ongoing case surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. The Duke of York's lawyer stated that the most recent request was nothing more than a publicity stunt, claiming, "The Duke of York has on at least 3 occasions of this year offered his assistance as a witness to the DOJ. Despite his decades-long friendship with Epstein, the prince has not been charged with any crimes in connection to the scandal." Despite everything going on with Prince Andrew, his daughter Princess Beatrice had some major milestones. After having to call off her wedding to Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi due to the coronavirus pandemic, the royal finally married her love on July 17th. The private wedding ceremony of Princess Beatrice and Mr. Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi took place at 11 a.m. on Friday, 17th July at the Royal Chapel of All Saints at Royal Lodge, Windsor. Buckingham Palace previously confirmed in a statement. While royal weddings are typically a huge affair, their happy day was actually pretty low-key due to the pandemic, with the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, and close family in attendance. A day after their wedding, official photos taken by Benjamin Wheeler were released and they looked totally loved up. Her sister Princess Eugenie also announced that she was expecting her first child with Jack Brooksbank. With the whirlwind that was 2020, we don't expect there will be any royal news lacking in 2021 either.